The psalmist moves from listening to declaring. Verses 8 and 9 establish that God will speak peace to those who fear him. Now the psalmist describes what that peace looks like when it arrives, painting a picture of the qualities meeting in perfect harmony. Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Psalm 85, verse 10. Here the psalmist personifies 4 divine attributes, as if they were people arriving at the same place, embracing one another. Mercy and truth might appear opposed. Mercy forgives, truth exposes. Yet in God's redemptive plan, these two do not cancel each other out. They meet. Truth does not soften into a lie to make room for mercy, and mercy does not disappear to satisfy truth's demand. Both remain intact, standing together. The same holds for righteousness and peace. A righteous God cannot overlook sin to grant peace, for that would violate his own justice. Yet Scripture shows these two also embrace rather than compete. This verse predicts the cross of Christ, where Paul writes in Romans 3 verse 26 that God is just and the justifier of him which believeth in Jesus. At Calvary, God's righteousness is satisfied and his peace is extended, not through compromise, but through substitution. The tradition holds this truth central to the gospel. The cross is where mercy and truth, righteousness and peace meet without contradiction. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. Psalm 85, verse 11. The psalmist shifts to agricultural language. Truth springs up, like a plant breaking through soil, rooted and growing among God's people on earth. Righteousness looks down from heaven, as though heaven itself watches over what grows below, ensuring the harvest matches the seed. This picture suggests something planted by God takes root in the daily lives of his people, visible in their conduct, while heaven's approval rests upon it. The verse points forward to Christ, who is truth incarnate, born of a woman, walking on this earth, while heaven declared its approval at his baptism and transfiguration. Yea, the Lord shall give that which is good, and our land shall yield her increase. Psalm 85, verse 12. The psalmist connects spiritual restoration to physical blessing. Under the Old Testament covenant, obedience brought agricultural abundance. The land itself becomes evidence of God's favor. But the phrase, that which is good, reaches beyond crops. The Lord gives splendid gifts of every kind to a people walking with him. This verse teaches that God is not stingy toward his own. When his people fear him and walk in truth, he does not withhold blessing, but gives generously, matching the generosity of his mercy already described. Righteousness shall go before him, and shall set us in the way of his steps. Psalm 85, verse 13. The psalm closes with righteousness personified once more, walking ahead of the Lord as a herald announcing his arrival. This righteousness does not accompany God. It prepares the path and then sets his people upon that same path, walking in step behind him. The verse pictures a procession, God moving forward with righteousness leading the way, and his people following in his footsteps rather than wandering in their own direction. This last verse answers the warning in verse 8 against turning back to folly. The path forward is not self-chosen, but marked out by God's own righteousness, and his people are placed into that way. The psalm that began with remembered mercy and moved through honest lament now ends with a vision of restored harmony, where mercy, truth, righteousness, and peace walk together, and God's people walk behind him in the way he has already gone.